There are places the world forgets slowly. Not all at once. Not in collapse. But in silence. The old Myravale Railway Café stood at the edge of Platform 3, its paint peeling in quiet surrender to salt air and passing years. Trains no longer stopped there. The timetable board had been frozen on a date 15 years old. Even the clock above the doorway had given up trying to measure time. Ayla Rahman adjusted the strap of her vintage film camera as she stepped through the warped wooden doors. She wasn't here for nostalgia. She was here for a story. The city council had approved demolition. By next week, the cafe would be rubble, replaced by glass and steel and something forgettable. Ayla believed in documenting the final breaths of forgotten places. She walked across the creaking wooden floor, fingertips brushing dusty tabletops, imagining conversations that once filled the air. Somewhere between departure and arrival, love stories had lived here. And no one remembered them. The wind rattled the cracked windows. Ayla crouched near the counter to photograph an old espresso machine when she heard it. A hollow sound. She tapped the floorboard again. Different. Loose. Curiosity had always been her compass. She pried the board up carefully with a rusted butter knife she found nearby. Beneath it, wrapped in oil-stained cloth, was a wooden box. It wasn't ornate. It wasn't locked. But it had weight. Not physical weight. The kind stories carry. Ayla brushed the dust away and lifted the lid.
Zayn Malik?
Inside were letters.
You must be Ayla Rahman.
Dozens of
I am.
them.
We need to talk.
Bound together with faded twine. Unopened. Undelivered. Forgotten. The envelopes were yellowed
so
with
peaceful
time.
here.
Different
It is.
handwriting.
I find solace here.
Different ink colors. Different return addresses. But the same destination. Myravale Railway Café. No apartment number. No postcode. Just the cafe's name. Ayla sat cross-legged on the floor, heart beating faster than she wanted to admit. Each envelope carried a name. Some were addressed to travelers. Some to workers. Some to someone called Zed Hale. One envelope stood out. It had been crossed out. Then rewritten. Then crossed out again. And beneath the ink scratches, faintly visible. If this finds you. I never stopped waiting. Ayla didn't open it. Not yet. But she knew. This wasn't demolition coverage anymore. This was something else. The next morning, Ayla returned with questions. She found him on the platform. Zayn Hale. He stood tall against the pale coastal sky, sleeves rolled up, studying architectural sketches pinned to a temporary board. He was overseeing the demolition. Or so she thought. "You're the journalist," he said without turning. "You're the one tearing it down," she replied. He finally faced her. "No," he said quietly. "I'm the one trying to save what's left." Zayn Hale was an architect specializing in historical restorations. The cafe wasn't supposed to be destroyed. Not if he could prove it mattered. Ayla studied him carefully. There was something restrained in his eyes. Like a story he refused to revisit. She almost told him about the box.
The stories in these old
Almost.
places, Ayla.
But something told
They
her
speak
to
to
wait.
me. Don't they speak to you?
That night, back in her small apartment overlooking the harbor, Ayla laid the letters across her desk. She didn't open them. She respected privacy. But one envelope caught her attention. It had
This
no
box and
stamp,
camera will capture stories
no
that truly
postal
matter.
marking.
I'm not looking
It
for
had
love,
never
but
been
for the truth in
sent,
every tale.
only placed, hidden, as if someone had meant to return for it. She turned it over. The handwriting was steady, intentional, and signed simply, A.
Ayla, are
She
you sure
traced
about
the ink
this?
gently.
I have to
Some
find them.
letters
Their
are
story
sent
needs to
across
be told.
distances. Some are written
These
across
tracks
regrets.
feel like a new beginning.
The next day,
Every story starts
Ayla
with a single
confronted
step.
Zayn,
Then let's begin.
not with accusation.
Look, the train is
with
leaving.
curiosity.
It is. I can't wait for
found
ours.
something inside
It's going
the
to be
cafe,
unforgettable.
she said. He went still. She placed the wooden box between them. He didn't touch it immediately, but he
This
recognized
path
it.
leads to the old ruins.
She saw it in the way
The one
his
from your
jaw
stories?
tightened. I wondered how long it would take, he said quietly. You knew? She asked. He nodded. My grandfather owned the cafe. A silence settled between them. And the letters? Ayla asked gently. They were never meant to stay hidden, Zayn replied. But the train stopped running before the answers arrived. Zayn finally opened one envelope. Carefully. Inside was a single sheet. Short. Unfinished. It spoke of departure. Of promises made under the station clock. Of someone leaving to chase opportunity. Promising to return by spring. Spring never came. The railway closed. The cafe lost customers. The letters kept arriving. But the addressees had already gone. Ayla felt something shift inside her. This wasn't just a forgotten building. It was interrupted love. There was one letter that mattered more than the rest, Zayn said. Ayla didn't need to ask which. He picked up the crossed-out envelope. He didn't open it. He didn't need to. It was written to my grandfather, he said. Ayla waited. He never read it. Why? She asked softly. Zayn looked toward the empty tracks stretching into the horizon. Because by the time it arrived, he had already stopped believing she would write. Regret is a quiet inheritance. Let me document this, Ayla said. Not the demolition. The letters. Zayn studied her. You'd travel to find them? He asked. If I have to. Some of those addresses won't exist anymore. Then I'll find what does. For the first time, he smiled. Not fully, but enough. Then don't just tell their story, he said. Finish it. Ayla felt it then. Not love. Not yet. But alignment. Two strangers standing in a place the world forgot. Choosing not to forget it. 3 days later, demolition was postponed. Zayn filed emergency preservation papers. Ayla booked a train. The first letter's return address led to a coastal village 2 hours north. As the train pulled away from Myravale station for the first time in years, Ayla sat by the window holding the wooden box on her lap. Across the aisle, Zayn reviewed old town maps. Neither said much. Outside, the sea shimmered under late afternoon sun. Inside, something had begun. Not a romance. Not yet. But a shared purpose. Ayla looked down at the crossed-out envelope. If this finds you. I never stopped waiting. She didn't know who had written it. She didn't know who it was meant for. But she knew one thing. Some journeys don't begin with a destination. They begin with unfinished words. And this one had just left the station.